Okay, welcome back to episode 2 of the Universal Language ZoomCast. I'm hosting Jason Kaplan, and I'm joined with my friend Vaneet Singh. He is a professional here in Memphis, Tennessee, and he does a lot of work with the general community, explaining Sikhism, meeting with people of different faiths, most recently featured in the commercial appeal for all of his wonderful activities. And recently, also, Vaneet and I went on to Memphis Local Live with Amy Sparapolis to talk about the Universal Language Room. So, Vaneet, I'm so happy that you've joined me today.
Jason, I'm glad to be here. This is a wonderful thing you're doing, and this is the best way to reach out to folks out there in such a challenging time. So thank you for having me here.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you for your friendship and education, and all the services to explain to a group of, I think about 6 of my friends from the Jewish community is where we first met. Well, second time we first met at the Gurudwara when I visited, and we really hit it off. And the 6 friends that I brought on a visit learned so much from you about Sikhism, its history. I'll talk a little bit about more about some real specific things I learned from Sikhism, but I thought we would start off this particular Universal Language Zoomcast with a little background that you've presented so well to my friends about the legacy and the value that Sikhism has brought to the entire world.
Right. No, I appreciate that. No, it was a very good experience when you guys came. So I'm glad we did that, and look forward to more such opportunities. But I definitely believe in sharing what I know. And I think that's a way to kind of learn about others and to tell about Sikhism to others. And so I really appreciate this opportunity. So. Of course, we are in Memphis area, so we have a Sikh temple, which is also known as Gurudwara, which literally translates into the door to the Guru. Guru is the master, and in Sikhism, it's a monotheistic religion. It's about 500 years old. It's world's fifth largest structured religion. Um, and it was founded in 1469, that time in India, and it's based out of north part of India, a state called Punjab. It's spelled as Punjab. Now, it's interesting that half of the Punjab is actually in Pakistan when our country got independence in 1947. Two countries were carved out, Pakistan and India, and specifically the state of Punjab actually got bifurcated in that division. So half of it went to Pakistan and half stayed with India, and I'm from the Indian Punjab. But the founder, the birthplace is actually in Pakistan. So it's very interesting that we have a lot of holy shrines across the border. And As far as our beliefs goes, we, as I said, like it's a monotheistic religion. We believe in one God, and there are some basic foundations of our religion. Equality is one of the foremost things we believe in. We believe in not just equality of the social status, but the equality of gender as well. That is one of the founding principles of our religion. Um, uh, Tolerance, standing up for others, and community service. Some of the main foundational beliefs in our religion. And as a Sikh, I try to imbibe these values in my day-to-day life whenever I get an opportunity to serve others, those in need, and follow the path. Again, there are three main pillars in Sikhism. If I just kind of summarize what I just said, um, the three main pillars, or I can say that three main principles which one should follow or one should practice or adopt in their lives. The first one is meditation in the name of God, and the second one is earn an honest living, and the third one is provide to those in need. Sharing is one of the three pillars. So, honest living, work hard, and then provide to others. Share your earnings with others is what we seek to be with.
Excellent. Very, very, very well said. I'm really glad we captured that on the Zoomcast, that wonderful overview. And so I'll go a little further and ask you to talk a little bit about the meditation of God, with the prefacing that that's something that I gained so much insight amongst many, many other insights.
Right.
Um, but in terms of what I've been able to gather from Sikh meditation teachers in New York, Richmond, Virginia, here in Memphis, the Nam Jap, the
Right.
remembrance of God's name, has really influenced me. And I'll talk a little bit later about how it influenced me. But to start off, tell us a little bit about Nam Jap and its role within the Sikh community and from the gurus.
So Nam Jap is actually one of the pillars. So as I said, like meditation in the name of God, if I just loosely translate that into my language, is Nam Jap. So Nam is the name. Nam is translated as name, or Nam, yeah, in English. And Jap is meditate. So meditating in the name of God. So that is one of the pillars. And I just want to add a disclaimer here. So I'm not a Sikh scholar. So whatever I'm discussing and sharing is based on my learning and my experience. And of course, the Sikh itself, the word itself means a student, a disciple. So it's a lifelong learning experiences. So as I'm talking with you, probably I'll learn a few more things about my own faith from you.
Yes.
So Nam Jap is meditation in the name of God, and it is one of the three pillars I just mentioned. As a Sikh, it is my responsibility, or it is my part of life that I need to actually recite in the name or meditate in the name of God. Now there are different ways you can do that. Some people recite the Holy Scripture. That is also can be considered as Nam Jap. We have a holy book which is called Guru Granth Sahib. It's a three-word. Guru means master. Granth is the compilation of the scriptures, and Sahib is a mark of respect to the book.
Mm.
It has about 1430 pages, 1430. And the book has teachings and the writings of the Sikh prophets, but the book also has the writings of Hindu saints and Muslim saints of those times. So it's in a sense it's a universal book. It's not specific to one particular religion, and it's written in a musical versed poetry. It is written in ragas. So typically you sing the ragas. The ragas are the musical moods, based on the time of the day, the mood. And the book itself is not written in a form of stories. It is written in form of a verse poetry, praising the Lord and talking about how one should live their life to with an ultimate goal of meeting with the Lord. That's the ultimate objective of this life. So meditation in the name of God is again, it can be singing the hymns from the holy book. Now, as in different faiths, there's one single word to describe God. Every faith has that. In Sikh faith, it's called Vaheguru. It's spelled as Waheguru, Vaheguru. So typically, when we do Naam Jap, you'll find a lot of people also using word Naam Simran. So Simran is recitation on a name, on a name of a god. So a lot of people actually meditate on this the name of the god as Vaheguru. So if I complete it, it's Sat Nam Vaheguru. Sat Nam means truth. The name is the truth, and Vaheguru is the name. So a lot of people will say they chant Vaheguru, 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 and some people will use as Satnam Vaheguru, Satnam Vaheguru, and some people will meditate out of the scripture. So there are many different ways of doing that. But again, the objective, again, the idea is that once you'll meditate, you'll put your focus, your mind towards that supreme Lord. However you want to picture that Lord, I think it's that's the beauty of meditation. However you want to create that Lord, maybe in some shape or form, and then basically in remembrance of that God, you recite the name. And again, in Sikhism, we believe that there are five evils: anger, lust, um, and I think greed, ego. And with the meditation in Lord's name, the idea is that you'll basically cast away these evils, and you'll get the peace and tranquility in your mind, to move on, to kind of think positive.
Excellent, excellent. Very, very good summary. That I've found that that is a great way of saying I'm so glad that we have this recorded for listeners to hear. Um, because when I started learning Sikhism, and I've shared the story with you how my group, the way I was introduced to Sikhism was my rock and roll band in high school, Hobbit and Bridge. We picked a symbol of a circle with three swords. We had no idea it was the Sikh holy symbol, so it was a really
Okay. Yeah.
amazing thing
Yes.
to be in a taxi cab in New York, and the Sikh driver had the symbol in the windshield, and I said, "Oh, you've heard of my band?" And he said, "Oh, no, 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 sir. That's not the symbol of a rock band.
uh,
My religion." I
uh,
said, "Oh my gosh, I need to learn more." So, from there to see what an influence Sikhism has had on my life, I started learning Nam Jap, I think around 2004 when I started visiting Gurudwaras. And I found a Sikh meditation teacher in Richmond, Virginia, who showed me Nam Jap and how to practice and told me to use Hebrew letters in the Jewish name of God. He said it doesn't have to be Sikhism. Um, and through that, I said, well, could this possibly be in my religion? Could there be teachings similar to this in my faith? And that inspiration and all the education from the Sikh teachers really led me to who I feel is a master teacher to me, Rabbi Abraham Abulafia. And I brought now this is Sefer Yetzirah, a
uh,
real ancient book
okay.
before Abulafia. This Abulafia's commentary on Sefer Yetzirah is all about meditating on the letters of the name of God,
Mhm.
rearranging them, looking at the different combinations
Okay.
of the
I
name
can
of God, and
appreciate
it's really
that. Yes.
influenced my views of universal language.
Mhm.
It's quite amazing that sharing of traditions and really the openness of Sikhism to help me study a meditation system, and then help me find it in my own tradition, which is
Right.
it's kind of a repeated tradition. So I think.
Absolutely. Jason, I missed the part you said last. Your video was frozen and your audio was frozen. So can you repeat what you said in the last?
Oh, the last was in terms of learning in terms of how Abulafia took the name of God and then
Yes.
said, let's take all the letters of the name of God in Hebrew and rearrange them in
Hearing
different
that. Yes.
orders with
Yes.
different vowels.
Yes. Yes.
And then I was able to apply it to the universal language room and really develop the system even further. So it's that full
That,
circle of
yes.
reaching to the Sikhs, learning it in my tradition, applying it to music, coming back to meet with you, and then do this. So there's a full circle of meditational sharing.
I'm so glad you did that and you mentioned that, because again, as I said, like music is a very integral part of Sikhism. In every congregation, it's a communal singing we have. We sit together. You have been to Gurdwara, so you know that we sit together, and we have the priest who's gonna sing in ragas out of the scripture, and I've had different experiences about Nam Jap in particular. As I said, like there are many different ways of doing that. Some people, and the best time to do that, I still haven't been blessed to reach up to that point where I can actually do that and make it a practice in my own life. But some people actually get up early in the morning at 4 a.m. and even earlier than that. I think that is the time which is kind of considered as sacred time. When it's in a common, our understanding, that's a time when there's a direct connection between the soul and the God. And a lot of people do Nam Jap at that point. They'll just sit in the dark, and in a room in a comfortable position, and they just chant on the name, and again, just kind of visualizing or imagining the supreme God one way or another, in one whatever shape or form they want to. I have done that maybe once or twice, not more than that. As I said, like I feel that I have not been blessed yet to make that as part of my life, but hopefully one day I will. That is an interesting concept, and it is very very interesting for me to know that in Jewish faith you have something very similar. So it's again I think the more and more I know about different faiths, being I've had interactions with you about the Jewish faith, and I have some of my friends out of Christianity, and we have been talking a lot about the similarities between Sikhism and Christianity. The more and more I know about, I am getting to know more about different faiths. I'm finding a lot of similarities, here and there. The idea is very similar,
Mhm.
maybe, as again, I feel that the path maybe are different, but the ultimate destination is the same.
Yes.
So I'm very glad that these activities which you initiate, I think these are really good opportunities, again, to tell people about Sikhism, to know more about different faiths, and the series you are doing in ZoomCast. I think this is a fantastic idea. So good work there.
Oh, thank you. Very much agree. And I think it brings us to the what I would think is this a wonderful conversation, a great introduction to Sikhism, and as you said, similar tradition in Judaism. But I will say it's a muted tradition. It's been very muted. It's really helped me rediscover and uncover a tradition I was unaware of. And I think also it leads me to talk to you about where you fell so naturally or adapted so naturally to the universal language room and the concepts of the sharing through the music and us playing the xylophone together
Right.
and guitar on local Memphis Live because Sikhism is so integral and this is just one overlay of a meditational concept on something you've done your whole life. So tell us a little bit about your experience with the universal language room and how you felt about it.
Well, I think that's a great question. So, as a Sikh, as a member of Sikh community here in Memphis, for past few months, what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to outreach to different communities. And as you mentioned, some of those activities were captured on in commercial appeal as well. And of course, we had one interaction between you and me in the Gurdwara as well. So this has been one of my objectives in past few months, that I really want to outreach. I really want to learn about others. I really want to tell others about Sikhism and see how we can find ways to complement each other, to help each other, to collaborate with each other, and whether those are volunteering activities, whether those are activities like Universal Language Room. So with that, in mind, when I met you and you brought up the Universal Language Room idea and what you're doing, and you explained to me, how it has evolved over time and what you guys are doing and what is the idea behind it. I think it was a natural partnership for me. I think it was no brainer for me that this is the platform. You are the name says it all. Universal language room, and music is the universal language. I think even to your point, even without knowing what each and everything means in Sikhism, but the musical part of Sikhism connected you to the Sikh religion and the temple. So when you described everything about universal language room, I think as I said, like, it was a very natural thing for me to actually know more about it, to see how we can collaborate on that, how I can be part of that in whatever capacity, whether I'm coming there as a Sikh or as an individual, to know more about music in general, but how the different religious musics, or how we can learn from each other and complement each other. So I'm very glad it happened. I'm very glad that we got that opportunity to be on air with Amy and talked about how the Universal Language Room and Sikhism came together. So that was pretty good.
Yes, yes, I think so. And I think that the idea of sharing and learning about the language and learning about the ideas together with the specific traditions like the Jewish music and the Sikh music is a great launching point, and incorporating both. Oh, I have a little visitor here.
Yes.
Okay, come visitor. Okay, but you have to be quiet for the rest of it, okay? Go ahead. So let's so let's do the conclusion part. I guess you know you spoke so well, and I think that that's really where I feel that both of us can have that collaboration partnership of the universal language room, that taking improvisational music and exchanging ideas back and forth,
Hmm.
and then also incorporating the beauty of seeing that within the Shabbat, the Sikh holy music, or the beautiful Jewish tunes for high holidays or holidays or Shabbat.
Right.
All of that, all the parallels together, really have all those aspects that we want to do in terms of exploring our traditions and other traditions, and something that brings us all together.
Yes, certainly, most certainly. By most certainly, I think that's a great way of moving forward. And probably, I can dig a little deeper on my side as well, and I just wanna make sure that I provide you the information about, as I said, like ragas and how the Sikh music is actually structured. So all those things, definitely, I think we can move forward in that direction.
Very well said. We have visitors and phone calls. We're busy
Yeah,
people.
so I think we have to wind up. I'll have to. I'm
Yes,
sorry for this, but I'll have to take this one. So
yes, of course. Thank you so much, Vaneet. Thank you for joining me for the Universal Language Room Zoomcast. To hats off to both of us for doing an interview with everything going on in our home lives.
no, I'm glad to be here, and let's continue doing this. I think this is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And in our final greetings, we say Sat Sri Akal Ji and Shalom.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.